With the recent release of the Giester update to Outlast Trials came a brand new ending that I wanted to dedicate a video to, as there will be more theory than fact. But it's interesting all the same. Be sure to check out the Giester Explained video if you want to hear all the new lore that was released. Now, if you remember the ending previously, it had you waking up in a hotel in Cuba, with the most likely reasoning being due to Fidel Castro's going-ons at the time. In fact, Fidel Castro was mentioned in the conversation between Avellanos and Lawler and some of the new files that came with the Giester update, which adds more credence to the theory in general. However, this ending is a bit more vague, and quite frankly, a bit more permanent of an ending for your character, I think you could say. Your character wakes up driving a vehicle as a voice can be heard whispering to you, "Only I love you." A timer is ticking down on your chest, and before you can even come to terms with what the hell is going on, you explode. Now thankfully, we have the luxury of rewinding. There are a few things to point out. Firstly, the board that we can see clearly shows South Vietnam and USA on it, not to mention the sign near the building saying Hotel Saigon. So in this ending, we have taken quite the trip from Cuba and ended up in Vietnam instead. That much is obvious. Now, geography might not be your thing, but Saigon is located in South Vietnam, which lines up nicely to the South Vietnam sign. So what could this particular incident be referring to? Well, the first thing that came to mind for me was the 1964 Brinks Hotel bombing that took place during the Vietnam War. Timeline-wise, this would put us roughly 4 or 5 years after the reagent participated in the trials. But firstly, I'll give you a quick overview on what happened in real life. It was Christmas Eve, December 24th of 1964, and the Vietnam War was in full swing. Remembering that during the Vietnam War, the United States were allied with South Vietnam, fighting against North Vietnam, who were allied to China, Russia, and North Korea, to name a few. In 1964, there were 23,000 American soldiers in Vietnam, and the Brinks Hotel housed the United States Army's officers, lieutenants, colonels, and majors. It had 193 bedrooms and was surrounded by a 4.5 meter concrete wall that acted as a shield for the building, not to mention South Vietnam guards. However, 2 Viet Cong operatives managed to stash 200 pounds of explosives into the trunk of a car, set to a timer that would go off at exactly 5:45 p.m. during the officers' happy hour within the hotel. Miraculously, only 2 people died from the explosion, with 60-odd people being injured. However, in this bombing, there are quite a few inaccuracies when you compare it to the Outlast Trials version of events. Firstly, it wasn't a chest bomb. The 2 operatives simply parked the car and let the timer do its thing. They never died in the explosion. Also, it's reported that the car was under the hotel, not outside of it. But this could be simply a reimagined version of the real-life event, since it seems within the Outlast universe that Murkoff has invested interest in big political events that took place in the 60s and presumably 70s. In the Cuba ending, however, the motive seemed much more obvious, since Murkoff has a very clear connection to the CIA, as we can see in numerous files. But from what I can tell, the Brink Hotel bombing had no CIA interference. In fact, it was actually orchestrated by North Vietnam. Well, the only other thing I could think of that took place in Saigon in roughly the same time period, 1963 to be exact, that the CIA also were involved with, was the assassination of the first president of South Vietnam. Now, I would try and pronounce his name, but I know that I'll butcher the pronunciation horribly, so I'll just show you the man's name instead. He was killed in 1963 in Saigon during a CIA-backed coup, where CIA-backed Vietnam officers who disagreed with the president's handling of the North Vietnamese and Viet Cong threat to South Vietnam. But the problem with this theory is the fact that he was captured and killed by shooting, not a car bomb. So it's possible that this event is a mixture of the 2 events put into one. Since the CIA played a big part in the Cuba ending, it would only make sense that the CIA would play a bigger part in this one also. Or maybe Murkoff just wanted to sow political chaos and conflict, which is entirely plausible also. I must say, I wish there was a little more substance to this ending. Maybe I'm just greedy for lore since I love the series so much, but it was all pretty straightforward. Well, I'd love to hear your guys' reaction to the ending and what your thoughts and theories are. Do you think it was referencing the Brink Hotel bombing or even the assassination that I mentioned? Let me know in the comments down below, and as always, remember to like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe for more content in the future. Thanks again, guys. Until next time, peace.